Okay.
Okay, we're almost done.
Whoops, not done. Okay. Oh, there we all are.
Okay, you ready?
All right. This meeting is called to order. It is a special meeting of the Fulton County Board of Registration and Elections on election night, November 3rd, 2020. I am Mary Carol Cooney, chairperson, and I'm joined this evening by my colleagues, Vernetta Keith Newridden, Mark Wingate, Aaron Johnson, and Kathleen Ruth. Before we get started, I have a quick announcement that this teleconference meeting is authorized pursuant to section 50-14-1G of the Official Code of Georgia because of the public health state of emergency declared by Governor Kemp on March 14th, 2020, and renewed most recently on October 30th concerning COVID-19 restrictions in public meetings, and because means have been afforded for the public to have simultaneous access to this teleconference. Ladies and gentlemen, you have in front of you an agenda. Take a moment to look at it, but I have been informed that we have some last minute additions, those being an ordinance authorizing the mayor to enter into a contract with Fulton and DeKalb counties to conduct a special election on November 3rd, 2020 to determine the approval or non-approval of a homestead exemption from the City of Atlanta ad valorem taxes for municipal purposes. That is one. And the other is an intergovernmental contract between Fulton County and the City of Union City to conduct Union City's election of November 3rd, 2020. If we allowed those amendments, they would become items 3 and 4 on our agenda. Item 5 would become the discussion of the November 3rd general special election, and item number 6, confirmation of a date for certifying this election. Do I have a motion to amend our agenda to allow these two intergovernmental agreements?
So moved.
Second.
It's been properly moved and seconded to amend our agendas to add a special intergovernmental agreement with the City of Atlanta and one with the City of Union City. All in favor of that amendment, say aye and raise your hand.
Aye.
Aye.
All opposed? The ayes have it. Our agenda is amended. The next item on, and then having approved our, having amended our agenda, I will entertain a motion to approve the amended agenda.
So moved.
Second.
It's been properly moved and seconded to approve the agenda as amended. Any discussion? All in favor say aye and raise your hand. Aye.
Aye.
All opposed. We have our agenda as augmented and enhanced. Item number 2 on the agenda is communications and responses from the public. Ms. Bodison, are there any members of the public wishing to be heard?
Yes, Madam Chair.
All right. Tell us who's
Senator Vincent Ford.
Senator Vincent Fort. Will you come forward, please, and welcome, sir. Senator Fort.
Okay. All right. Can you hear me now?
Yes.
Yes, sir.
Okay. How much time do I have, Madam Chair?
You have 2 minutes.
Okay. First of all, I want to say that I'm very concerned about the conduct of the 39th District Special Election. It is my understanding that Secretary of State required for poll workers to ask voters whether or not they wanted to vote in that special election. We think that is, in effect, voter suppression because there are many people who don't know to ask, and there are many poll workers who have not been trained. Today, my son, who's the candidate, I'm representing the Zan Fort campaign. He went to vote at about 7 o'clock this morning. He was the 5th in line, and he was not told by the poll worker that he could vote in his own special election. I blame, most of the blame, or with my limited understanding, has been with the Secretary of State requiring this to happen. But it is also my understanding that others were informed. There were at least two other campaigns who were informed before the fact that this was an issue. Our campaign wasn't informed, nor was, from what I understand, a second campaign. So 2 of the 4 campaigns knew about the restrictions, and 2 of the 4 campaigns didn't. This is unacceptable. Madam Chair and members of the Board of Election, like my daddy used to say, something rotten in the cotton. I am asking the Board of Elections to conduct and have conducted an independent investigation as to how this came to be. How it was that poll workers were not trained. Even after 3 weeks of controversy today, poll workers were not trained to ask people if they wanted to vote in it. The posted information after the initial controversy was badly written. And from what I understand, a public official asked for that notification to be rewritten. This is an embarrassment. I know everybody is concerned with Biden, Harris, Trump, Pence, but this is nothing but voter suppression. But I want to find out who in the county knew about this. When did they know about it? I want to thank Mr. Barron for being open with the documentation, some of the documentation that I asked for. But I just think this is an embarrassment. What is happening is, in a general election, well, let me just end by saying this. When a voter walks up to vote, they ought to be able to vote in all the elections that they are eligible for. They ought to be able to see on their ballot whether they requested or not. They ought to be able to see all of the elections that they're eligible to vote in. So, Madam Chair, I hope that this board will see to it that an independent investigation is done of how this catastrophe, electoral catastrophe, happened in Fulton County. Thank you.
Thank you, Senator Fort. We appreciate your presence as always and appreciate your remarks. Ms. Bodison, do we have anyone else wishing to be heard?
No, Madam Chair.
All right, then that will conclude item 2 on our agenda. Item 3 on our agenda is the approval of an intergovernmental agreement with the City of Atlanta. And let me revisit that. It is to contract with the City of Atlanta on our behalf, and also DeKalb County will do so, to conduct a special election today to determine the approval or non-approval of a homestead exemption from City of Atlanta and ad valorem taxes for municipal purposes. Mr. Brower, I would like to ask you if you are familiar with this contract. And I don't hear Mr. Brower, even though he appears not to be muted. Okay. The question that I would ask him that I think I have the answer to, there are 2 questions. One I think I have the answer to, and that is whether this follows the standard form and the standard provisions of intergovernmental agreements, which I believe that it does. The second question, for which I believe there is no good answer, is why this is reaching us tonight. But I believe that this agreement is one that does not impose any additional cost on Fulton County and the City of Atlanta because of the other issues on the ballots. And having said that, I open discussion among my colleagues. And I hear none. Ms. Newriddin?
Thank you so much, Madam Chair. I think the reason why we have to notice the questions that we put on the ballot is to allow the public the opportunity to listen to and provide public comment. So what is the second agreement that we're signing? We're signing one with the City of Atlanta. I didn't get the full scope of the second one.
The second agreement is with the City of Union City for the conduct of the November 3rd election within the jurisdiction of Union City.
Okay, so since the board seems to be silent on the discussion, just for clarity, we are voting to sign a contract for the election that is closing in 15 minutes.
That is absolutely correct.
Thank you, Madam Chair. That's it.
All right, Mr. Brower, can we hear from you? I still do not hear from him. Any other questions or discussion? And hearing none, do I have a motion?
So moved.
Thank you, Mr. Johnson. Do we have a second? Mr. Wingate, will you unmute?
Yes, second.
All right, it's been properly moved and seconded that we approve the intergovernmental agreement with the City of Atlanta. I think I've already expressed, if I may comment, some annoyance, but I reminded myself that my function is not to impose discipline, but to get things done. And so that's how my vote's going to be. Any
Brower's
other
back.
comments?
Mr. Brower's back online now.
Mr. Brower, did you hear our discussion, which was mostly me, about the intergovernmental agreement with the City of Atlanta? And I don't think Mr. Brower is hearing me.
I see him.
Yeah,
I call the question, Madam Chair.
thank you. Let me jump over that and say, I don't think we need to call the question. Are we ready?
Yes.
Yeah, ready, so that we don't have to take a formal motion. All in favor, say aye and raise your hand. Aye.
Aye.
And we have 3 and 4 in favor. Mr. Wingate, did your hand go up? Yes. 5 in favor, all opposed. The ayes have it. Thank you. All right. Item number 4 on our agenda is the intergovernmental agreement with the City of Union City. Are there any questions about that?
Motion to approve, Madam Chair.
Second.
It's been properly moved and seconded to approve an intergovernmental agreement for the conduct of the November 3rd election with the City of Union City. All in favor say aye and raise your hands. Aye.
Aye.
I see us all. All opposed. The ayes have it. Thank you all. That brings us to something that I am not sure that we are going to be able to discuss tonight. This may be good or it may not be, and that is a discussion of the November 3rd general and special election.
Hi, Madam Chair. Mr. Brower was talking, but you couldn't hear him, so he's gonna come in my office. So you can
Okay,
hear
so
him.
you're saying that he's going to join us momentarily.
Yes, he's in my office. He'll be talking.
Okay.
From
As long as I can speak when it's my turn. Good evening, Madam Chair, members of the board. My apologies for the technical difficulties I was having there. I could hear you all, but apparently you could not hear me. Today's election event was pretty uneventful. We did have some equipment issues, real challenges last night, kind of getting everything distributed, the equipment distributed. I think one vendor that we had that was part of the delivery process canceled out on us very early yesterday morning, so we did not have the transportation resources we had had anticipated. Again, there were a few equipment problems today. We've had as of about 5 o'clock, about 14,152 persons to actually cast their ballot. And then we had about 598 provisional ballots cast.
Mr. Brower, can you tell us what happened at State Farm Arena this morning?
At State Farm Arena, and I think Mr. Jones probably was have a bad idea, but there was a pipe that burst in the room where we actually had ballots. Thank goodness that none of those ballots were damaged, I understand. And Ralph, correct me if I'm wrong, but I understand the way the building was built, the water kind of sloped away from the ballot.
Yeah, that's correct. We had a pipe that busted, and we were down for 4 hours, but the water did drain to the left side of the room mostly. And State Farm did clean it up, and we're in operations right now. But we were down for 4 hours. We were down for 4 hours between 5:30 and 9:30. So we were a little bit behind, more behind than what we wanted to be.
Okay. Questions from my colleagues of either Mr. Jones or Mr. Brower. Dr. Ruth.
Yes, Mr. Brower, can you give us that number again, the 14,000 number?
Yep. As of about 5 p.m. this evening, we had about 14,152 people to cast ballots on the November 3rd general election, and 598 people had actually submitted or cast a provisional ballot.
Okay. Other questions?
Yeah, let me
Go ahead, Mr. Wade.
let me make sure we enter. What you're saying is, up until about this time, we've only had 14,000 votes cast on. I'm missing the point here. What was it? Kind of not coming through clear on my side, I don't think.
Yeah, as of 5 p.m. this evening,
yeah,
of November 3rd, we've had 14,152 ballots cast, in-person ballots cast on election day, and 598 provisional ballots cast.
Okay.
Ooh.
If you are done, Mr. Wingate, Ms. Nuridin, I know you wanted to speak.
I don't think I had a question, Madam Chair. Thank you.
Okay, Mr. Johnson.
I was just going to ask how long, I know you said that about State Farm and it put you behind about 4 hours or so. How will that affect the count tonight?
Well, we're gonna work until we can probably get it done as much as possible. Since it's 6 o'clock now, somewhere around 6 o'clock, and we're gonna try.
It's like 7 o'clock now.
7 o'clock now. We're gonna pull the file around, see where we are at 10 o'clock and make an assessment to see if that's all we have to do. We're finalizing the last 30,000. We got about 30,000 more that we got to process within that time frame. So we're about 30,000 behind of the ones that were received and the ones that we processed.
So it could be real late for Fulton County.
It's gonna be later than what we would like it to be.
Other questions, Ms. Nuridin?
Dr. Ruth, I think she had a question. I thought she was raising her hand first. I didn't want to jump in front of her.
Thank you.
So we have 15,000 people. I think that number is relatively low. We had over 260 polls open. I wanted to know what are the numbers for early vote as of October 30?
Don't have those numbers in front of me. I can get those to you, the early voting numbers.
Okay, and then thank you so much, Mr. Brower. Were you reporting on any numbers other than the 15,000, little give or take 15,000, including provisional ballots? Were you reporting any other numbers tonight?
Other than what we will actually tabulate now, looking at the November election, or the November early voting numbers, we voted 315,656 ballots were cast during early voting.
That's awesome. That's incredible. Thank you.
Let me add in, I've asked Rick now on a few occasions to provide us the report, Vernetta, through October 30th.
Yes, sir.
That was just as early as late this afternoon. And he stated that he was waiting on Ralph to finish up his numbers through the 30th. That's why we have not seen the final report, according to Rick.
Thank you. Thank you, Mr. Wingate.
Dr. Ruth.
Yes, and what about the drop boxes for the absentee ballots?
Yeah, we obviously, and Ralph, do chime in, but we will obviously close those out tonight at 7 p.m. and we will reflect that number in the absentee ballot count.
Okay, great. So great, thank you.
They are on their way. We have people stationed at every drop box, and at 7 o'clock they will close the drop box and head down town so that we can process those. Once we get through processing those will be transferred back to State Farm to get scanned for tonight.
If I may ask a question, what I understand is that approximately 15,000 people cast their votes in person at a polling place today. Can you give me a ballpark as to how that number compares with 4 years ago, in-person voting on election day?
I cannot at this time, Madam Chair, but I can certainly research that and provide an email to the board. I can perhaps even do that after this meeting with the numbers.
There is no need for a rush, but I will comment that I think that the number that you gave us indicates kind of a sea change in the culture of voting in this county, which is most interesting to me. Now, other questions, Ms. Newridan?
Last question for me. Where is Director Barron this evening?
Mr. Barron is in court. We look like we will have one poll that must stay open late tonight. It got about a 15-minute late start this morning. I think it was due to some equipment issues. So he's actually—
Oh, that's right. That wasn't reported. We had more than one to stay open. Can you update us on that, Mr. Brower?
Yes, I think it's our Ponce de Leon precinct 06F. There were some equipment issues over there this morning, and long story short, they did not open up until I think it was about 6:15. So as a result, they were going to court to 7:15. I mean, I said 6:15. I meant 7:15.
Yes, sir.
But they actually was going over to court to get that approval to stay open beyond the
Mr. Brower.
Excuse me, if I may, this is David Loman. May I speak, Madam Chair?
Yes, sir.
Mr. Barron is in court on Bethune Elementary at this time. Ponce de Leon Library has already been decided. That will stay open until 7:20. The precinct that Mr. Barron is in court on right now is Bethune Elementary. there has been a discrepancy on whether they were 40 minutes late or whether they were able to let people vote with paper ballots much earlier. So they are in court on that right now. So if they do have to stay open, there will be 2 precincts that have to stay open past 7 o'clock.
Okay, thank you so much, Mr. Lohman, for sharing that. Are you saying Rick is in court trying to stop it from being open, or in support of it staying open?
I don't know exactly what his position is, but he is in court because I believe it's the Democratic Party of Georgia is the one petitioning the court. And since Mr. Barron is acting as a superintendent for Fulton County, we have to have a representative there. So he is with Ms. Ringer at this time.
Okay, Ms. Corbett, I don't know if you are always welcome to speak to us. Did you want to add something to this particular discussion?
No, ma'am. I didn't know that Mr. Lohman was on the line. I just wanted to let you know that he let us know we have issued public notice about the Ponce de Leon Library location, and we are standing by for the outcome of the Bethune Elementary location.
Okay. And anyone else as to Mr. Wingate?
Yeah, a couple of questions for Mr. Jones. How many absentee ballots have you processed as we are speaking right now?
Yes. When we've actually processed, meaning scanned, we scanned 86,000 ballots, 86,191 ballots. We've received 130,517 ballots. As of now, we have not counted today's mail in that number.
So we were able to begin to start scanning these on October the 19th.
Yes.
And we've got roughly another 50,000 to go.
Yes, we got another a little more than 50,000 to go, correct.
And what time of day do you think that this is going to be complete, Ralph?
Well, we've been scanning around by leaving at 5 o'clock and 6 o'clock. We've been getting numbers of 20,000, around approximately 20,000 a day. So I think that we'll still be scanning late today, a little later on. We are scheduled to scan up to 10 and 11 o'clock today. I should say tonight at this present time.
So you're going to have somewhere between 40 to 45,000 ballots going into tomorrow to complete just the scan.
No, I don't think so. I think we'll probably, if we go into tomorrow, I think we will probably have around 20,000 ballots at the max going into tomorrow.
Okay, so if you've got 20,000, then I'm assuming you're going to try to complete that by sometime by end of day tomorrow?
That is correct at the latest.
Okay, so it's logical then with that, we're not going to have fundamentally everything reported until sometime real late Wednesday night or Thursday?
Well, our goal is to see if we can get it a little earlier than that. But if we keep processing, we're gonna try our best to shorten up that time frame.
Okay. All right, so out of the 130 that were received, and you've scanned in a little over 86,000 now, of those that you've scanned in, how many have you rejected?
We rejected 363 ballots.
Okay, so 363 were rejected. And where do you stand in adjudicating those 363?
the 363, they all can be cured between now and Friday, the 363.
Oh,
The adjudication process that we've done, we just reconciled, has been for the last 2 days, has been taking place at the EPC Center. We just
yeah.
got back from adjudication. We adjudicated 700 the first day and 1,100 the second day.
So are you done adjudicating?
Well, we're not finished adjudicating until we get all the ballots.
Right.
So therefore,
You've got to, you know,
we've adjudicated up to 75,000 ballots. I mean, 75,000 that were scanned. And any of them that have been needed adjudication, we've done so far.
okay, so we're still going to, obviously, because you've still got 55,000 to scan, you're going to have more to adjudicate at some point.
That's correct. Which is possibly, the way it's been going, which is possibly about $1,400 usually.
Okay. All right. Well, that it sounds to me like that we may not be able, from a candidate standpoint, they may not know anything until Friday.
Well, including the provisionals, that is true. Because the provisionals will be, and the military are still acceptable.
Yeah, we understand. Yeah, we understand the Unicova stuff, you know, but that's got legally until Friday.
Right.
Mr. Wingate, are those your questions?
Yeah, I'll shut up now.
Oh, you don't have
what
to.
else to say.
Anyone else having questions or comments? And I hear none, and hearing no others, I will assume that we can conclude item number 5 on our agenda, the discussion of today's election, which brings us to item number 6, which is a certification date. And I have asked the board if you would be amenable to our meeting on, I guess it is Friday the 13th. Mr. Barron has told me that would be sort of helpful to him to have the certification date on that date. And also it would be helpful to me to have our regular board meeting, because I have a medical procedure on Thursday the 12th. And if anybody has a problem with that, you don't even have to say anything right now, but you can. Otherwise, I will make plans to call the meeting, our regular November board meeting and our certification meeting on Friday, November 13th at 10 a.m. Does that sound okay?
Yeah, it's fine.
Thank you. I appreciate the board's accommodation.
Sure.
All right, then that would conclude item number 6. And that would bring us to whether any member of this board has personnel or litigation matters that you wish to discuss in executive session. And I hear none. Then that brings us to the final item on our agenda. Do I have a motion to adjourn?
So moved.
And do I have a second? It's been properly moved and seconded that we adjourn. All in favor say aye.
Aye.
All right, and all opposed? Then we are adjourned. Thank you all very much. And thank you to our staff for bringing us to this point in the election.
Thank you, Madam Chair.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Yeah.